Hi Flosstube, it's Lisa Smith, Kindred Stitcher. Today is December 30th, 2023. We're almost at 2024. And today I'm going to do an update, talk a little bit about giveaways, and then I'm going to do a WIP parade. And it's going to be titled 2024 because I already have a 2023 WIP parade in January of this year. So even though it's not quite 2024, I'm taking some liberties and naming it 2024 WIP Parade because we're almost there. And I hope you've had a great holiday. I had a great holiday. All my kids came home and we had them for a few days. It was fantastic. My family come over. My mother-in-law came for a while. My mom came for a while. I got a nice Jane Wynn necklace. I love this. I asked for this. It's a little bit short on the necklace itself. I might get an extender, but these are all the rage, these coin necklaces. So I was happy to have that. And my kids went in and bought me a lovely gift. I'll show you that in a little bit for Christmas. It's nice to be done though. And what I love about not having decorated my living space this year is that I don't have to put it away, which is the worst. I am not a fan of putting Christmas stuff away, so I am glad that we're embarking on a new year pretty soon. 2023 has been a great year for us. We have been blessed in so many ways, and so I'm just looking forward to the next phase. Hopefully we'll get into construction of our house pretty soon. We've got our plans back, by the way. A couple minor revisions, but my husband is going to submit them to the county, and we live in a good county, so they're not difficult to work with, which is fantastic. Now, before I get into the stitching and what have you, I thought I would go ahead and talk about giveaways first this time. Sometimes I leave those to the end. Sometimes I do it at the very beginning. I probably am not very predictable when it comes to when I'm going to talk about giveaways. These two, I have two charts that were in a giveaway 2 videos ago, and I've not heard from the folks. I had 3, and I did hear from one person, and they're still ready to be mailed out. So terrible. But I have 2 more. And so what I'd like you to do, I'm gonna adopt my friend Barb Lost and Floss. She does speed giveaway dating. It's like speed dating. It's a giveaway. Anyway, so the way this is working for these 2 charts only these 2 charts, is if the first person to comment winter and email me with your address will get this chart. The first person to write home in a comment and email me your address will get home. So I'm just going to mail those 2 out. I'm not going to go back to that video and redraw. I just don't have time for it. So there's that. Now let's talk about the winners from the last video, the giveaway from the last video. So I had Golden Delicious by the Artsy Housewife. You just say golden. Oops. I had the Roxy Floss, there's a lot of floss in here. This is a good giveaway. Roxy Floss Company, her flosses to go with this. The winner is Life with Valerie 21. And if you'll just email me with your address down below, I will go ahead and get that in the mail to you. I had the Holly and the Ivy by Teresa Wentzler and Sheila Smith 3977. You won that one. Gather by Pineberry Lane. Leslie Hurd, 7250. Is that Leslie from Fat Cat Flossing? I'm not sure. And then She Seeketh Wool. The key word was wool. Patrice Lambusta, 7865. You won She Seeketh Wool and Flax. It's Christmas Time by Sue Hillis. Quilt Ma. You won that one. And the 2024 Book of Days, The Stitching Owl, you won this. So if you're in this group and I called your name and it's your channel name or it's your, I don't know what YouTube did, but they changed, some of them are like your handle that you would have maybe on Instagram. If I called your name, please look at the email in the drop box below and email me your address so I can get those in the mail to you. For the next video, I have a couple other charts. One is a give up. This is my WIP list. And I have wanted to stitch on this, or I've tried to get myself to stitch on this. I don't know what it is. It's a beautiful chart. I don't know. I started, this is the linen that came with it. There's a start on it. I'm keeping the floss, but it's by Samplers Remembered. It's a sweet little chart. I thought about finishing it and putting it on the front of a folio, which would be cute. But I just decided that I have so many WIPs and so many things that I want to work on that are going to take my time that I'm probably just not going to get to this one. So this, if you would like this one, write sampler. Keyword is sampler. And the second one is the magazine that had redware in it. That's the one I showed you last time that I had to finish. And this is, this chart right here is the one I finished and showed you last time. This is Cross Country Stitching, February 2006. If you would like this chart, if you would like this magazine, please write redware, REDWARE, in your comment. Then I thought I'd show you, I don't have a ton of purchases, but I'll show you what I purchased, and then I'll take a quick break and set up for the WIP parade. So I do have a few things that came in. One is the Jingle Ball Ornament book, and this book is fantastic. I have the one from last year. The Jingle Ball was a blast. You could see all the fun things. I freaking love this. I love that one. That's Stephanie from Lindy Stitches. I don't really stitch ornaments. I don't know why. I've only ever had one tree. I have more ornaments I could put on one tree, but this next house, I should have enough room to have 2 trees. So maybe I'll start stitching ornaments now. This came in the mail, so I got that. I also have Merry Wishes by Brenda Gervais. I think I bought this off of eBay. Like that one. I saw where this is the first time I've ordered from this company. It's Number 12 Stitch Company. Why can't I speak today? Number 12 Stitch Company. I ordered some fabric from her. I'm just going to say this fabric is the closest I've ever seen to Lakeside, which is my favorite. I stitch a lot on Lakeside, but when I pull these out, I gasp because it does look a lot like Lakeside linen. This comes from Australia, and the first one is Salted Caramel. And that's not too far off. It's a very pretty neutral. It's a little bit, maybe a little bit darker and more golden in real life. This looks a lot like pecan butter. Vintage pecan butter, maybe. Wallaby looks a lot like vintage pearl barley. If you're a Lakeside stitcher, that's pretty good. It tends to want to blow out a little bit here. Very pretty. And then the last one is Autumn Beach. And this one, to me, this one kind of looks like vintage autumn gold. Also sort of like straw, but a little more modeled than Straw by Weeks. And she sent all kinds of lovelies with it too. She sent some project stickers to the back of your framed pieces, a couple of different floss drops. I think she was running some sort of a contest with the orders that you know, the number of orders you put in. You were entered in the contest. I don't know. I didn't hear anything back, so I'm pretty sure I didn't win anything. And a cute little needle minder. Wouldn't this be cute? You could either just stitch some floss through here, maybe put a button on the top of it, or you could even put the tiniest little stitch piece right on the front of that. That would be cute. So that came in the mail. This I pre-ordered. Several people have started this. Winter Moon. You can get this through Country Sampler. And it's one of Paulette's Moon series, and they all have wraps on them. So these are really pretty. I ordered the 40 count. I'm not sure what kind of fabric came with it, but look at the threads. Oh, gorgeous. Then I was on a Zoom call with some friends who go to Acorns and Threads quite a bit, or they're on the Acorns and Threads Zoom call. And my friend Margaret was showing this, Just Nan Santa's in the House. A little tin that you stitch a little Santa to go inside the tin, and it has the tiniest little counting pin in it. And I think she had just one more of these. But this is so stinking cute. And she also had a Lakeside that came in that I didn't have. I haven't found for a long time. That's Vintage Wood Smoke. And I love this one. It looks a lot like was a little more gray, I guess, than this Wallaby. This looks more like vintage pearl barley. This one's a little bit darker. Then last, I follow an account on Instagram called Vintage Blessings, and they sometimes have cutter quilts. They sell quilts, antique quilts. Most of them, they sell those that are quality that you would keep and use. Sometimes they have cutter quilts, which are just beyond repair and are degrading. So they upcycle and make other things out of them. And I saw this. It's a schoolhouse block that they made into a bag. And y'all know, I love patriotic stitching. So this, and I have a lot of patriotic smalls, and this will be a fantastic place to store my patriotic smalls. And the stitching is really pretty on this. The quilting, I should say. So I got that. It was very reasonable. For the amount of work and the cost of materials, their upcycled products are really good. So, all right, I'm going to put this away, and then I'm going to pull out the WIPs, and let's talk about WIPs and plans. I'll be right back. All right, so a couple of years ago, 2021, I looked through my WIPs, and I did a 3-part WIP parade because I had 79 WIPs, and it took me a long time to do a WIP parade. I realized at that point that I really wanted to reduce my WIPs, and the reason why I wanted to reduce them is because so many of them didn't have much work done on them. I would start things and stitch them, and then some things I would start and never get back to them. So my goal is to sort of get down to more in the 20s. And right now I'm sitting at 37 WIPs. So by giving away the pattern from Samplers Remembered, that drops me down to 37. So as I was looking ahead and toward the end of December, I knew that I wanted to finish a couple of projects, and so I have 2 finishes. The first one is "And to All a Good Night" by Blackbird. I am really sorry that this is an out of print pattern. This brick, this color is fantastic. I want to say it is Raspberry Parfait. And I literally had 3 skeins that looked nothing alike. So I sort of used all of them throughout the bricks on the house. And when I started this, I had, I think, 1 star done. That was it. That's where I started when I picked it up in December. And there are a few spots where it calls for some queen stitches with 2 threads. And I tried it, and it was pretty bulky. And I knew if I went down to 1 thread, you really wouldn't even see it. So I didn't bother putting it in. I just left it off. And so this one was a blast to stitch. I hope that if she really re-releases this one, because it's a lovely chart and is being passed on to another stitcher. The second one that I finished is, and if you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen that I had finished this one. This is a Sister Sampler by Abby Rose Designs. I modified this. Instead of putting a bunch of initials down here, I put my name and my sister's name, and I gifted this to my sister for Christmas. I was trying to get it done for her birthday, which is the 18th, and I just couldn't finish it. It had one part of the border left. Actually, it was up here, this part. And the border is, it takes you have to pay attention. It's a little fussy, but it is so, so pretty. This is Abby Rose Designs. Someone asked me where they could find it. I think I referred her to Janine at Acorns and Threads, and then I was talking with Janine on Zoom. I think the lady who's the designer has some health issues right now, so she's not producing the patterns, but that doesn't mean that she won't in the future. She's just going through some health things right now. So I'm going to hold on to this chart because I may stitch this for myself again this year. It was a blast to stitch. And my sister was going to stitch it for herself, but now she didn't have to because I gave it to her. So anyway, so those were my 2 finishes. I gotta get those. I have a bed behind where you're sitting, so when I'm throwing things that direction, that's where they're going. So for Christmas, I have 4 boys, and I sent them a snapshot of a listing from Olivia B's shop, Hillside Rookery, and she has a lot of Kathy Barrick charts. So if you watch her channel and look at her shop, Hillside Rookery, her channel is Olivia B on YouTube. She stocks a lot of the NPIs now for Kathy Barrick's charts, and Kathy does tend to chart a lot of her patterns in NPIs. So I had started a year at Hawk Run Hollow, and I did it in the DMC, and I was partway through the first block. I just didn't like it that much. It didn't have enough oomph to it. There wasn't enough depth of the colors. And when I looked at the Christmas set at Hawk Run Hollow, one of the things she explained is that she picks the closest DMC she can, but generally the NPIs tend to be darker. Well, I suggested to the boys this would be a good group gift, and they got me the NPIs for Christmas at Hawk Run Hollow. So I am spoiled. My third son sent a note to Olivia, and I think he ordered it, and she wrote back that he was the son of the year, because this was such a great gift from him and his brothers. So they are luscious. I love them. They're fun to stitch with. And NPI silks don't tend to be as thick and chunky as maybe some other silks are. Like I stitch with Silks for You silks, and they tend to be a thicker silk. These seem to be a finer silk. So I picked up, after I finished had my 2 finishes, I basically had about 10 days left in the rest of the year for just whatever I wanted to do. And I decided on Christmas to start Christmas at Hawk Run Hollow. Now, I have wanted to stitch this since 2018. In fact, one of my very first notebooks that I had, I was doing some planning for, it was kind of like before the Book of Days things. I had notebooks, and I would make a copy of a chart, and like this one I cut it up and I tried different arrangements, and I was going to stitch just part of the blocks. And now when I came back and I had the silks, I'm like, I'm stitching the whole thing. So in fact, the first time I think I was trying to figure out what I would eliminate, I ended up with a number that didn't seem like it would have a very good layout. So I thought, I'm just going to stitch the whole thing. So I am stitching this on 46 count parchment by Weeks Dye Works, and I think it's on Zweigart base linen. It's a little bit darker in person than this is showing. Not too far off though. I did the first block, and there is one thread gatherer thread that you need for this pattern. I ordered it. I don't have it yet. And you stitch it on like the snow throughout the pattern. So the branches all need the snow, and then I could put the long stitch pine needles on there. It's like a 1-day finish to get that completely done. So I went ahead and started on the next block, which is the dark full coverage one at the bottom, which I love. It says Happy New Year. And let me tell you a little bit about this chart. So it is all Christmas all the time. And a little saying on the lower right corner says, "This to my friends, when I am gone, I leave for them to look upon. Remember that I wrought the same, for herein you will find my name." And it says Mary Crow, 1801. When I read the pattern, I didn't see anywhere in the pattern about who Mary Crow is. And clearly, Kathy or Marty Barrick charted this, so it wasn't Mary Crow that stitched this. They came up with it. So I felt free to change this, modify it to what I like. And throughout the chart, there's verses for "I heard the bells on Christmas Day." Their old familiar carols play. And "Wild and sweet, the words repeat, of peace on earth, goodwill toward men." And this says, "I heard a bird sing in December, a magical thing and sweet to remember." So sweet. Now, my mom's mom, Edna Colden, I loved her. She has been gone since 2000. She had the best laugh, and my mom tells me a lot of stories, or has talked about how much her mom loved to entertain and loved Christmas. She had 5 children, 15 grandchildren, and she would make gifts often at Christmas. I have quilts, I have blankets. I think she crocheted one year, blankets. I had a decoupage footstool with a grade school picture on it one time. I don't still have that, but think about making 15 to 20 handmade gifts every year. And she loved to entertain. So to me, this sort of embodies my grandmother. And I'm going to put her name on here. I might just completely change that verse, because really, Edna didn't stitch this, but it's to honor her. And so I'm going to put her birth year in. Now, when you put in the Happy New Year, they also had Like they had Merry Crow 1801, and then they had Happy New Year, and then 1802 on this block. So I put 1922 on this block to signify Happy New Year, and then her birth year of 1921 will be on the one to the right. So that was my new start. I was really enjoying stitching this, and I fantasized about maybe doing Stitch Mania this year and starting 31 Christmas WIPs, because there are so many awesome Christmas patterns out there that I have. And I look through my stash, I'm like, I should be stitching Christmas year round. I really should, but I'm not gonna. Okay, so let's talk about my WIPs. I'm going to talk about one other WIP that I have stitched on that last 10 days in December when we get into my huge stack of WIPs that I pressed this morning for you, by the way. I have 37 WIPs. The age are I have those that are 2018 or older, which are a couple samplers and really more memorabilias. I have 8 of those. In 2019, I had 6 that are 2019 or older, 2019. I have 13 from 2020. That was the year that I did a patriotic Stitch Mania, and I started 31 patriotic projects, of which I've finished probably about 2/3 of those. They weren't big projects, but there were a few big ones in there. I finished a lot of the smaller ones. And 2021, I slowed down. I put the brakes down when I realized that I was kind of spinning out of control. And I have 5 WIPs left from 2021. 3 from 2022, and then 3 from 2023 because I just started one, so I have 3 from that year. So the 10 projects that I'm going to focus on in finishing in 2024 are 1, 2, 3, 4 are 2018 or before, and 1, 2, 3 are 4 are 2020. And then 1 is 2021 and 1 is 2022. So really, if I could have WIPs that are maybe 3 or 4 that I carry over per year, and they're no more than maybe 5 years old, I'll probably be around 15 to 20 WIPs. And that's probably the sweet spot for me. Now, I'm not judging. If you want to have 5 million WIPs, go for it. What I found is that sometimes I'm just not getting back to things. And what I end up with is a lot of stash, a lot of money sitting in my WIP pile of threads that I'm not using, especially threads. There's linen too, but a lot of threads. So for me, that's just a change that I adopted. Now, will I give it up and start 20 Christmas projects and during Stitch Mania? Maybe next year, probably not this year. So here are my smaller ones. I mean, qualify smaller, but these tend to be a little bit smaller. This is Prize Your Liberty. This is, I think, been recharted by McKenna at 1884 Stitcher. You can buy it through her. It's probably easier to read than this one, quite frankly, because I want to say that it's smaller print, but it's not hand-drawn. This is a Merrily Beams pattern, and this is as far as I got. And hence, this is why I'm trying to whip down my WIP pile. That's as far as I've gotten. Most of the things that I have picked for this next year have more progress than this, but I had to throw in a few where we hadn't really done anything, so it's sort of almost like a new start. This one I probably will work on the first part of the year. Maybe not immediately, maybe not in January or February, but maybe. I don't know. We'll see. The next one is Clustered Stars. This is a Dying to Stitch kit that has now been released in a booklet from Blackbird Designs. It has stitching on the front and on the back and on an interior panel. And this is as far as I've gotten on this one. That's it. But really, this one's going to go quickly. I have 2 more of these borders, basically. And there's like I think a little flower bouquet in one. This is the front. It's the most stitching. And then the interior one isn't a lot of stitching either. So that one should go pretty quickly. And I can see myself maybe working on these patriotic ones March, May, as long as Brenda Gervais doesn't release some, 20 sampler patterns that I have to start. Here's another Abby Rose Designs, Let Freedom Ring. I had good intentions of finishing that one this year, and I just didn't. but I do have a pretty good start on it. I probably will sew some fabric around the outside of this one and put it in my 11 by 17 Q-snap and really go to town stitching this. Now, I have some converted threads. I think I just picked some from my stash. And any of these that you see, if you're curious about the fabric, I can look it up for you, but I don't, off the top of my head, remember most of these. So that is Abby Rose Designs, Let Freedom Ring. This one I worked on some this past year. I thought I had better get on this one. I have loved this one forever. And when I started, I thought, oh, this is so much fun to stitch on. It's Marjorie Massey, Quaker Street. I believe I bought this through Kitten Stitcher. And sometimes I'm lucky enough to know because I left the tag on here. This is Vintage Straw Flower. Oh, this fabric I bought at Acorns and Threads because it's one of their tags on there. This is as far as I am. So there's quite a bit of stitching on this, and I am stitching this with the Silks For You black silk. It's got lovely coverage. After I stitched Hoity Toity and I use the DMC 310, I have resigned myself to the fact that 310 just doesn't give the best coverage, but there are great options. Anchor thread is one option, but also this Silks For You black silk has great coverage and you get a lot of it for a reasonable price. So this is as far as I am. I'm one house down, and so I probably will work on this periodically through the year, because if I want to get it done, I'm going to have to put some time into it. It may not get on my hoop until, my Q-snap until summertime. This spring, I'm going to work on this one. I also thought maybe I'd get this one done this year, and I didn't because I didn't get back to it. This is Lead Sampler. I think this is one of my older ones. Lead Sampler, I started in 2018. And I've gone back and forth with maybe just stitching this section and leaving this off and this off, but I really do like the verse. I'm just not, it's kind of a back stitch verse, so I'm not a huge fan of that, but I love the sentiment of it. The sentiment, it says, geez, I hope I have enough light here. May the raindrops fall lightly on your brow. May the soft winds freshen your spirit. May the sunshine lighten your heart. May the burdens of the day rest lightly upon you. And may God enfold you in the mantle of his love. So it's beautiful. And I am using, this was released with Sulky Threads. There's a thread pack, and I have one or two of those thread packs. This is as far as I am, but really, this is the most work right here. These tend to go pretty quickly, and the backstitch writing will go quickly too. I'll just keep eating my way around here, and then I'll do the alphabet up above, and then I'll be done. It'll take some time. There's quite a bit of stitching in there, but it's so pretty. Such a beautiful colorway. And I love Rosewood Manor Designs. Her stuff is just soft and pretty. So much good stuff. Now, I have 4 of the 10 focus pieces are extra large or extra, extra large pieces. Now, how do I qualify that? I have a spreadsheet, and I just use the area, the length times the height. I don't look at stitch density. I just look at the overall area. Some of them take a lot longer. If it's Paulette's piece, I'm just going to say it's probably going to take a long time because she has a lot of stitches in her pieces. Some of these others, even though they're extra large, may not take as long. So this is probably the number one piece that I'm the most excited to stitch on this year. And it's a biggie. It's Rose Wreath Sampler by GGR. And this is where I am so far on this. Now, remember, this is the one where it said it was a 46 count fabric, and it wasn't. It was 40. And then it's cut funny. It's cut like not on grain. So I don't have as much border over here to work with. However, I think it'll be fine for framing. I love this one. It's so pretty. It's just so pretty. And just working your way up and working these flowers, I think I'll just work my way up along the edge, do as much border stitching as I can. start the next set of motifs and work on those, and I'm just going to work my way up. I do have a lap stand and 11 by 17 Q-step that I primarily use. I stitch two-handed. Smaller pieces I just stitch in hand usually. And I like the way my stitches lay a little better with the two-hand stitching, but I'm okay with stitching in hand also. This is stitched with the called for over-dyed threads. So that one, every time I see it, I get excited. And every time I see it, somebody show it on their video, I get excited. So Narissa showed it on her stitching list. I showed it on her video recently. This one's a biggie. This one, I have a plan. So this one is, they're all biggies. Who am I fooling? Autumn on Lazy Bear Mountain by Kathy Barrick. I stitched a fair amount on this year. I'm stitching it over one on Thornhaven. It's a Jobelin by hand-dyed by Stephanie. I will tell you that as spring comes on, I want to stitch flowers. I do. I want to stitch spring things. I want to stitch flowers, Easter, whatever, and then move into patriotic. So my plan is not to do assignments. Although I respect that. That's a good methodology. It's not as much for me, but I will stitch at least once a month on this project. And then by the time I get to September, August, September, when I really want to be working on this, I hope to have the top done, and I'm just going to do little mini goals. So maybe it will be, one time I work on it, I will frame out the barn and put in the windows and doors and some of the Scooby-Doo bats on there. Then the next time I'm going to work on pumpkins, right? And so I might just give myself like 3 days to work on it, because I know I'm going to want to get back to my spring, summer stitching, but I have to keep eating away at this. There's no way I can pick this up in September and have it done before October. Well, I could, but then I would only be stitching on this, and I wouldn't. I like to go back and forth between projects. So if I can get the top done and the bottom motifs started on the bottom, then I can work on these. These are going to be fussy. These are going to be kind of like this here. It's full of leaves that are all different colors. So I probably will have several needles with thread on there, just waiting so I can change my thread quickly. So Autumn on Lazy Bear Mountain. It's lovely, stitching it over 1 on 32 Jobelin. This is an even weave, so it's not difficult to see the holes. They're wide open. It's not difficult to stitch over one, even though it seems like it would be. Truly, I'm telling you, it's not difficult. Next on my list, here's another big one. This one I just love. I love, this one's right up there with Rose Wreath. I mean, this is my January stitching right here. It's my jam. So this is what I'm doing with this one. This is Susan Rambo 1839 sampler. I think it's in sampler and antique quarterly also. So if you have the DVD, you should have the pattern. I started this with Becky Socks for Mom, and I worked on it last year, and then I kind of got to a part where I stopped. Well, there's a lot of cartouches on here, and I'm not going to put Susan's family on it. I have decided where I'm going to put names. I'm going to put my family, my husband's family, our children, and I'm going to modify it so that I think somebody will keep this one, when I'm gone. Not that it matters, because I'll be gone. But also these two squirrels here, they're crazy. And I am going to redraw those and stitch them a different colorway. And, I love Susan Rambo, but I'm not going to have a crazy squirrel on there. So there's this one. I am stitching this one with the NPI silks, and the colors are so gorgeous. I remember that this fabric is 40 count fresco by Picture This Plus. So it has it has some nice modeling in it. And these little lollipop flowers are so much fun to stitch. So I'll need to come down across here to finish the grass. There's another tree over here, another berry bowl, and then basically it's mostly cartouches up here with those two crazy squirrels. So I'm looking forward to this. I have, I think, 2 other patterns that are not my focus pieces this year that I will be excited to stitch once I do some converting of threads. I decided when I got into them that I needed to change some colors, and I just haven't figured out what to do with that. So they've just sort of been on the back burner. This is the other piece that I worked on in that 10 days after I finished the sister sampler. So this is Susan Milne, or Milne, 1843 by Hands Across the Sea sampler. I am stitching this on a pink Zweigart fabric. I think it's called like powder pink or something like that. And it's very pretty. So I will say this though, I sometimes struggle stitching on this because the greens and the yellows and the pinks are so like a bright pastel that I get tired of it. And I actually think that once I finish stitching this, I might test a piece of the pink, but I might dunk it in some tea and knock it down. Tea, you know, coffee tea dye it a little bit, just to knock the color down a little bit. Well, we will see how the test fabric takes the staining from the coffee tea. I am not sure yet, but I'm contemplating that. So since the last time you saw this, I finished all the words. This border here does have satin stitches, and so I haven't done that. I'll do those last. I brought this down. I stitched this, 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 and started this. And that bird cracks me up. He looks like he looks like Men with Hats. Well, who was that band in the 80s that had those weird hats that look like, I don't know, they look like this. Men with Hats, was that it? I don't remember. Somebody can tell me down below. So this is quite pretty. I remember reading in the history that Nicola wrote in the pattern that she thinks that these are hops and not flowers per se. And she could be right on that, because where this girl lived, there was hop production for making beer. So that is Susan Milne. She's a biggie. And this is a 40 count fabric, so you can see how big she's going to be when she's done. Also, probably will have to stitch on that every month for a little bit to finish it this year. Those are my 10 focus pieces for 2024. So what is left? Oh, I do have another one in here. I'll show you as I work my way down. You'll see it's my other Mirabilia that I'm going to focus on. So I try to focus each year on finishing one Mirabilia, and it'll be in a few minutes here. I'll show you which one I'm going to focus on next year. So Anne Morrison, I just loved it when this came out. Immediately started stitching on it. I stitched it on a 46 count light drab by XG Designs. I'm like, I can't remember. That's as far as I got. And these are the tiniest little eyelet stitches you've ever seen in your life. They're so tiny. I'm sorry, you can't really see it too much in this light. This is what we get with the winter video, right? Where there's no light outside, so you have to illuminate, creates shadows and blows things out. Not going to be a focus for this next year, but I do like stitching on it a lot. The next one I started and also didn't get much of a headway on is Peace on Earth by Samplers Not Forgotten. Sometimes I do have the threads in here. This is the called for threads. This was a country sampler kit. Lori Holt finished this, and she showed it on her last video. Another huge start. Not very far along. I do tend to leave threads hanging out there too. You know, if I get going and finish some things faster than as expected, I might pick one of these up and sub that in as a focus piece. Here's my Mirabilia that I'm going to focus on this year. This is Florentina. Elizabeth Ann from Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch. I think she's picked that one too, and she's working on it. This is, I can't remember what fabric this is. I want to say this might be a Pole Stitches fabric. Isn't that pretty? Woo, that is gorgeous fabric. So I did put some beads on to see how the beads would look, but they're going to have to come off because I can't Q-snap over those. When I pick her up, and I might pick her up in January, my first thing will be to finish her head and her face. I really love to have the face and the head done. For Mirabilias, it's hard for me to stitch when you can't see that. When you see that, it motivates me to continue. Otherwise, it's just a faceless blob. That green is so pretty on this fabric. It just really, it's gorgeous. I love stitching on Mirabilias, and I do have a lot of fabric that lends itself to stitching on Miras. So here's another Mirabilia. This one I think I started like in 2015 or 16. Persephone, she's big, and I stitched her. This is before I found any hand-dyed fabrics. I'm stitching her on, I think this is a 32 count Eden weave cream. It's a straight undyed fabric. Comes straight out of probably a Zweigart. Oh, I don't know who made it. So my poor armless girl here, I wouldn't mind getting in here and finishing the background. I changed the background colors. This was a Karen Water Lily background, and it was sort of a browns and muddy colors, which would have been fine if I'd had a darker fabric, but it was a little stark. And so I used the variegated DMCs, and they're so pretty. And this is so much fun to stitch on. I would love to get back to her. She has a lot of beads on her. So there's that one. This one, oh, I'm not sure which one I'm going to focus on in 2025. This is my, what's this one called? My Fair Lady, maybe? If it's not My Fair Lady, I'll put it on the screen here. This is a Under the Sea fabric. I want to say it's Bridget. Might be Bridget. Isn't she gorgeous? She's so pretty. Okay, so this one Mirabilia that doesn't call for beads, but I left spots to put beads because I love the beads on Mirabilias. Now I might go back in and fill it in. I can't decide. That fabric just, it's so moody, and it just brings her out. She's so beautiful. Now the black is Krynek. Not my favorite. If I were to start this now, I probably would try and use a Petite Treasure Bait instead, but that ship sailed. This is I'll put it here. I can't remember what she's called. And the patterns aren't in here, so I can't even look. My friend Jamie inspired me to stitch this one. She had stitched it. And it's, at first I thought, well, maybe I'll just de-stack. Maybe I'll just take this one apart and not work on her. But the more I look at this, she's so pretty. I'm for sure going to finish her. And she's not as big as the other ones. So I love her. I feel like I say that about all my WIPs. I love this one. I love that one. This was from a Farm Girl Gathering Retreat. It's La Di Da, Lori Markovic. Now I'm changing around where the colors are. I'm going to do a little swappage of her fabric or her thread selection. So this is a Farm Girl fabric, I think, pretty sure. And I started, you can see that she uses this kind of acid green color on the bottom left, and I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use this kind of burnt orange and then a different color up here. And again, this is not a huge one. This should go pretty quickly when I get around to stitching on it. I meant to get back to this one. I just haven't. Jane Summers' work, 1831. Lori Wilson and I were going to work on this together. I'm not sure how far Lori got, but I didn't get very far. I usually start in the lower, it goes this way, the lower left. So it goes that way. This is gorgeous fabric. I don't know what that is, but the colors on this are fantastic. And it's just going to sing on this fabric. Pretty. Here's one of my oldest. This is a 2018, one of my older samplers, Elizabeth MIRS. Lori Mischievous Stitches and I started this at the same time. This house is ginormous. So I did work on this a tiny bit this last year, but I realized that I want to change colors. So This is as far as I've gotten. It's stitched with DMC. You can barely see the yellow. The yellow just doesn't come out at all. And in real life, this is actually very melty into the fabric color too. So I think I might pull the flowers out, and I think I'm going to do an overdyed conversion. And it could take it. Like there's a lot of white in here, but the other colors, definitely I could use an overdyed on that. It's a fun stitch. Again, it's one where I need to get in there and make some decisions, and right now I'm just working on finishing some things. Okay, so here is True Wisdom Sampler. My friend Kyle Reckemeyer gifted this to me, and now you can get this through Olivia B at Hillside Rickery. It's gorgeous. I had Julie from Reflections Framing and Stitching did a conversion for me, because this initially was charted with Vicki Clayton silks, and Vicki Clayton hadn't come back and started doing her silk production again. So these are NPIs, and I love them. But then I saw another stitcher doing it in overdyes, and I loved that as much or more. So like, I'm not a huge fan of this off pink color. I may do something where I pull in some of the colors that the other stitcher did, because I think I took some screenshots of hers, and I want to say it's like 123 Stitcher, or I can't remember her handle name. Anyway, this one is so beautiful, but I just, again, need to sit down and kind of revamp the threads on this and decide what I want to do with it. Here's an oldie but a goodie. Country Craft Shops. This is Jeremiah Junction. And I am doing this up here with all of these shops together. Right now it is a cross stitch corner. It's an antique and crafts, and it's quilts. So I'm modifying some of this. There's like a dozen flowers in here. I'm taking almost all the flowers out. I'm changing some of this, the signs on here, the shape, and I am doing this in just silks that I have in my stash. I want to say I have a mistake somewhere in here, and I'm going to decide if I'm going to fake it, or if I'm going to fudge it, or if I'm going to take it out. And it's somewhere down in here, but it might be just fine the way it is. It's so much fun. Like this, I want to say this might be platinum. The colors are fantastic on here. And I think this is going to be adorable when it's done. And maybe if I get my, well, I will have Priz or Liberty, but if I get the other two done early, I might swing over and start stitching on this one again. Or this one, Land That I Love by Teresa Kogut. So many people have worked on this and finished it. I am stitching it on 40 count vintage navy beam by Lakeside. I got a little ways, and then I think I had a squirrel moment where I started working on something else. But the colors on this are fantastic. Mostly, I think DMC. Nope, there are some. Oh yeah, mostly DMC, 3 weeks dye works and 3 classic color works. So this is as far as I am on this one. It would be great if I could get through my 10 focus pieces and then make progress. If I could work on all my WIPs this year, I'd be super happy about that. Here's a couple of biggies. Consider the Lilies by Heartstring Samplery. This one and His Eyes on a Sparrow, which is up next, I'm stitching on 28 count Mushroom Lagana tea coffee dyed, stitching it over 1. I do like this. Now this berry bowl, I started stitching off the wrong petal of the flower, so it's completely in the wrong spot. I was telling Beth about that, my woes, and she's like, just fudge it. I'm like, I'm going to, because I don't want to pick that out over 1. But this is in the right spot. So I just will have to go over here and put this in the same wrong spot, and then change it in the middle here. Probably need to change some motifs around. Get back on track with that one. When you stitch it over 1, it's so tiny. It's so cute. And here is His Eyes on the Sparrow. And also this one, I do love stitching on this. Now this is dense stitching too, when you have those full coverage kind of motifs, it feels like it's pretty dense. But this right here is as white as it's going to be. Yep. So what happens is I get my plans, right? And then I pick something up and I start stitching on it and I can't put it back down. And it might not be my focus piece. You never know. New Castle Bouquet. This is the infamous one where I cut off the top of a piece of fabric that had another stitch piece on it, and I cut it off too small. Like I didn't really have enough fabric. I thought I did, but I didn't. There's enough for a New Castle Bouquet, but I had to modify the Sarah Chapel that I was working on. This is the silk conversion from the attic, and the silks are so pretty. I did add one green. I used Elizabethan green from Gloriana as the darkest green, so I added that. I love stitching on this, and my friend Donna from Live from the She Shack, she finished that. It's gorgeous. Speaking of Donna, she and I and Jean started this one together when we were at Country Sampler the very first time we went there. This is Sampler's Not Forgotten, You're a Grand Old Flag. And I want to say this is 40 count vintage pearl barley. And this is as far as I am on this one. Now, when we were at Country Sampler, they had Belle Soie silks that they had on clearance in the basement. So I just bought a couple of those packs and did a conversion based on it. And the colors are so rich and beautiful. This is going to be gorgeous when it's done. And I think Michelle Rudy has it done. I want to say it's like on the wall in her videos, if you watch her channel. Summer at Cherry Hill. This is part of the 2020 Stitch Mania patriotic stitching craziness. This is by Brenda Gervais. Jen from Jen Stitching It, she stitched that. I remember watching her. She got down and got it done. The hive on here is not too different in tone than the rest of the grass, so I might do a little outline on that once I finish the grass. It won't stand out that much, but it might be okay without it too. This is a lot of fun to stitch. I don't remember what fabric that is, but it's a Call for Threads. Also, another Stitch Mania start, Salt Box Sampler by Brenda Gervais. And this is on I think it's an XJU or one of her kids' linens, graham cracker linens. It smells delicious. It smells like coffee when I was ironing it. I like it. Now, see these DMCs? There's two DMCs here. They're really close. And so I was thinking I need to maybe do a substitution there and go in and just up that, because my DMC dial out was too close on those two colors. This was a lot of fun to stitch on. I feel like I say that all the time. Another one. Okay, so although most of my Stitch Mania starts from 2020 were smalls, there were some biggies in there. Here's a bigger one. American Sampler by Plum Street. And actually, it's not as big as you would think it is. I just started on the lower left, I'm sorry. And it's not going to be so big. Fantastic. Not too many more to go. Liberty Sampler by the City Stitcher. Another Stitch Mania start. I'm not going to put more behind it because that's as far as I am. I actually put a little piece of thread up there to know that that was the top. Because I didn't know the next time I was going to get to it. And if I would remember which was top and which was bottom. This one I started New Year's Day in 2023. I do love this one. Mary Leah 1793. It's very pretty. This is on 40 Count Hemingway by Needle and Flax. It's this is one of the biggest pieces I have. and I have a lot of work ahead of me because I did not get very far. This was my New Year's Day start. This one and Rejoice Evermore and Peace on Earth. And I have hardly stitched it all on Peace on Earth or the Mary Leah. I finished Rejoice Evermore. So I do have a couple more New Year's Day starts, potential starts. I thought about maybe abandoning this one. This is Things Unseen, but it's really cute. It's really cute. I looked at it, I'm like, nope, I'm keeping that. I want to say this is Heartland, and it looks like it's a 40 count. Now, I've got the charms and the buttons that go, and I'm not sure if it's meant for like a 32, so I might have to do some adjusting. I haven't gotten very far, but this is a fun one to stitch on. And I could be tempted to work on that one more this year. Faith, Hope, Peace, Love by Teresa Kogut. I loved this one as soon as it came out. Now, I am stitching this on a different fabric. I don't even remember what it is. Again, if you want to know fabrics, if you can drop a comment, I can look it up for you. I just don't have it memorized. I want a completely different colorway with it. And like the building, I'm doing satin stitches, and I'm doing it like siding. So I'll have like 2 stitches high as a satin stitch, and then there's a band of cross stitch, and then there's satin. And so it kind of gives it looks like clapboard siding on it. I think this is the green that's called for, but you know, when you have a blue fabric, the alternate spots that are not colored in show your blue fabric. And I might leave that. I don't hate it, but I also might fill it in. I haven't decided. So areas of the pattern where she left I think even some spots on her dress where she left it open and the fabric color shown through, I will either have to stitch it or I'll just leave it with blue shining through. Very pretty, a lot of fun to stitch on. Looking forward to that one. Esther Edison by Chessie and Me. So Carol Saltbox finished this one, and when I pull this one out and work on it, I love this one. Now, I think I'm going to change something in it though. It was probably charted from the front. These flowers are ghosty, and they're just a little bit too ghosty for me. Like this fabric, it's a complete melt into the fabric. So I might just pull something, a neutral out, and completely change those. I could leave it as a ghostiness, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and change them so that you can see them better. This is my small start on Esther Edison, and it's a lovely, lovely color palette. 2 more. Are you still with me? I watched Celeste creates her WIP parade. I'm like, oh, I would stitch all the stuff that she has. The WIP parades, I'm loving it. Plus, I put WIP parade in the search bar, and a whole bunch of WIP parades come up for people I haven't watched yet. So it's like I opened the door, and now I have a whole nother group of Flosstubes to watch. Ain't got time for that. Prairie Schooler. So this is the same even weave that's used for Persephone is used for this. And what I did is I didn't do them individually. I think I'm going to do 3 of the 4 in a row. And I'm stitching them with silks from my stash. So I have no idea what threads these were. I just grabbed a bunch of silks and started stitching. So I've done one. I'll do one of them with the white urn, and I might change it to black, from white to black, so it shows up better on this. And then I'll do another one that's brown, the other brown one. I like this one. It's a lot of fun. The last one is my one and only Haid. She sleeps, and she is gorgeous. I saw another stitcher stitch her last year or the year before, and every time she'd pull it out and work on it, I was like, oh, I really want to work on this. I have like 1 page done, which isn't that much. And I didn't iron this because this is on the Easy Grid fabric, and if you iron it, it makes the lines permanent. So we're not going to do that. This is the edge where her face starts over here. Can I get this? I guess it goes probably this way. It goes that way. This is the edge where her face is. And I really like stitching on it. I could see myself doing more full coverage. I have a couple other full coverage patterns, but truly I want to go ahead and continue to work down my WIPs and then get back to working on this one. And it is a lot of fun to stitch on. I enjoy it a lot. So it's stitched full crossover one on, I think this is 28 count, easy grid. And you're supposed to start it on where the grid starts, on the thread where the edge is, and you can count by 10. Well, I didn't even pay attention when I started it. So I started like one stitch to the, I don't know where I started it. Plus it's a circle, so. All right. Oh, let me show you what I plan to start still this year, and hang on, I'll be right back. Okay, so Kathy released this pattern in 2022, the Moons of 2022. There is an adaptation for the Moons of 2024. I picked it up from, I think, Market last year. So you can get the update for this. And so I do plan to stitch this, start it and stitch it in 2024. I didn't get to this. Okay, so this I showed the last, I think, 2 videos. I was hoping to get to it. This is the ugly sweater garland, which I think is hilarious, and I love it. I think it'll go quickly, and I do plan to start that in January. 2 other big ones that I'm planning to start. This one has been on my to-do list, and I've shown it a couple videos now at home. This is going to be my Christmas Day start, or my New Year's Day start. Brenda Gervais, she's got my number. And I don't remember. This might be vintage pecan butter. Let's see. Nope, Lakeside Lentil. It's not too green. And then the threads to go with it. Then the last start is going to be Autumn Abundance. And this was from the Attic Retreat with Paulette and Alma. And shoot, I can't remember the other gal's name. Kathy? Mary? I don't remember. Anyway, watch 2 videos ago and you'll see who I'm talking about. But I saw this one's just so beautiful, and I was looking at the picture of the model from the retreat, and I thought I'm going to start this one. I may not get that far, but I am going to stitch it on vintage pecan butter, which is my all-time favorite fabric, and this is luscious. It's going to be gorgeous. So those are my starts. That's it. I hope you stuck with me this whole time, and I feel like I want to start so many new things to get, new projects, but I also want to work on my old stuff too. And I do love that I'm getting through some of those old things, older projects. So I feel like I'm turning the compost pile over. I hope you have a great New Year's, and we'll see you after the first of the year. Take care.